Welcome to Age Better Resources, where we explore a range of options, strategies, and solutions to better navigate some of the changes and challenges that can come with aging in later life. I'm Kathy Clinton, your host, and today I'm really excited to be talking to Kelly Peterschmidt, the founder and executive director of Porchlight Friends, a nonprofit based here in Colorado Springs. Kelly, thank you so much for taking time.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to be here. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about Porchlight Friends.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I'd love to start with you giving us kind of a big picture overview of your organization and what services you provide.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we are a nonprofit here and we're serving older adults in El Paso County. So we provide companionship services to older adults in their homes, no matter where that home is. So we can help with tasks in the home, projects in the home, light housework, and we can provide transportation for errands and doctor appointments. And we're also able to stay with our clients when we go to those doctor's appointments. It's not just a drop-off service. So if they would like somebody to be there with them, or sometimes outpatient surgeries require somebody to be sitting in the waiting room, and we can provide that service. And yeah, and then all of our services are operated through the Porchlight Health technology platform, which allows us to assist our clients to stay connected to family, friends, and community resources.
Yeah, yeah, I love that technology part. So with your clients, are you finding that they are open to using the technology, or does that present challenges?
Yeah, so the Porchlight Health technology has been around for 4 or 5 years, and something that we did, part of the learning curve that we had with that technology, that we have that whole bell curve of older adults and technology, and I kind of fit right in that as well. Where we have those that really, like to use the technology, they use it all the time, they don't have any problem with it. The big part of that bell curve is people that just maybe need a little extra assistance. And then at the tail end of that are at those that just don't like the technology and really don't want to use it. So what we've done is we've paired it with the companionship services so our companions can help them kind of navigate their way through that technology and help them and hopefully teach them along the way, so it's something that they can become comfortable with themselves.
Yeah. And what are some of the benefits to your clients to utilizing that technology, your platform, well, it's not your Porchlight Health, right? Sorry, Porchlight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. I
Mhm.
know we've kind of put that little obstacle in there. So the companionship services are Porchlight Friends, and then the technology is a Porchlight Health technology. So
Yeah.
the benefits are it's a private, secure, HIPAA compliant technology that was designed with older adults in mind. So I like to describe it sometimes as technology for older adults or social media for older adults. So it's preloaded onto an iPad before we take it onto our client's home. So it's preloaded with the app, and then also the people that they want to stay in touch with, whether that's their adult children that live out of state or grandkids. They might have friends, they're living here in Colorado and they have friends on the East Coast that they want to stay in touch with. So when they open up that iPad in their home, they can see pictures of those friends and family members, and all they have to do is touch on the picture to go to start that communication with them. So, and they do a daily check-in with that app, and it's from smiley faces to frowny faces. You just kind of touch on that to say how you're doing that day and kind of why you're feeling that way. And then that daily check-in goes out to everybody on their porch. So they call that iPad their porch, and everybody that's there, so everybody can see kind of how they're feeling that day, and it's day to day, so they can kind of see the ups and downs, and also kind of gives a reason to check in with them and respond back to them. Because if you see maybe a smiley face with that daily check in, you might respond back and say, "Oh, I saw your happy check in. What's making you happy today?"
Great.
Yeah.
Are people able to send them photos that they can upload into the iPad? Is there a photo sharing component?
There is, yeah. So our clients are, as part of the services that we provide, they're given this iPad to use in their home, and then everybody that's connecting with them uses their own smartphone. So
Mhm.
whatever you have on your smartphone, you can send to their iPad to their porch. So if you're on vacation, taking pictures just out in the community, you can take those pictures, and then later in the day you can send it along to them. So one of the great stories that I love to tell, just recently we had a client, one of our clients, her caregiver went to Ireland for his daughter's wedding, and they were both on the Porchlight Health technology. And so from Ireland, he was sending her pictures and videos of the wedding and of Ireland, and she was getting it. She lives in a memory care unit here in Colorado Springs, so she was receiving those notifications from him and just feeling like she was a little bit of part of it.
Yeah, yeah. What a great story. So you mentioned somebody in a memory care community. So can you talk a little bit about that? So clearly you're not just servicing people at home or in a traditional home.
Right. Yeah. So, really, whoever is needing our services, we will meet them in wherever they call home. So
Mhm.
they may be living in the home that they've been in for 40 years, living independently by themselves. Maybe it's an older couple living together and they're just needing some assistance with some of those daily tasks that become a little bit harder when you lose some strength and mobility. And then we also provide services to those living in senior communities. And I think sometimes it's a misconception that when you're living in a senior community, all of your, socialization and companionship is handled through those services. And it's really not. There's a lot of people that are lonely living in those senior communities. So we have clients that live there, and we just provide mostly the companionship services to them.
Yeah. Well, I know from working in home care that there have been staffing challenges, and that has forced a lot of companies or agencies to have things like 4-hour minimums or 20-hour week minimums. And I know you're not providing actual non-medical home care, but I think it could be really helpful for that to have that flexibility. So what kind of schedules is there any sort of minimum?
Yeah, so our services typically last 2 hours. Our clients are able to choose from 1 day a week to 5 days a week.
Mhm.
We have a monthly subscription that we pay. We are a private pay service for that, and they pay a monthly subscription so they can choose, the 1 day a week to 5 days a week. Um, yeah, and we really kind of loosely say 2 hours for a couple different reasons. Sometimes when we show up, our clients really just aren't up for that 2 hour visit. Maybe they're not feeling well or just a little bit tired, and it may just be a quick check-in, go run a quick errand for them, and it's just an hour visit. And then the next time they go over, it may be 3 hours because maybe they're going to a doctor's appointment and it just takes a little bit longer. So we really don't constrain, you have to be there this amount of time. Yeah, so from 1 to 3 hours, it's kind of averages out to about 2 hours per visit.
Mhm. Yeah. And the companions are able to drive them, it sounds like, to appointments and social outings.
Yeah, and I'm really finding that that's such a great, it's a big need in our community for our older population. Quite a few of our existing clients don't drive anymore. So, of course, your world really shrinks down when you don't have that independence of having a car. So yeah, so our companions can drive them. So I have a companion that drives a client over to the community center to play pickleball a couple times a week. So theirs is just real active, companionship based. And then we have some clients that they're very task oriented. They have a list when we get there, and they need to take the dog to the groomer. They need to go to the grocery store. They want to stop and get some lunch, and then they're going to come back and do a few tasks at home. Yeah, so I think it's just opens up the world a little bit. And then, as I mentioned before, I think it's really nice to have somebody to be with you when you go to a doctor's appointment. You may not have anybody that can go with you every time. So we have these scheduled visits per week. And so our clients start to schedule their doctor's appointments during that time so that they can go with their companion. And then we can bring that technology along as well. We have that iPad that we provide to our client, and we can take that along. Maybe they have an adult daughter or son that lives in Texas that wants to know how that doctor's appointment goes. And so we can go in there and get that video chat set up and stay in there with them to help them, listen to what the doctor's saying to mom or dad, or we could just set it up there and we can leave and give them the privacy, but allow that doctor to talk to both the patient and that loved one that might be on that video chat.
Yeah, yeah. I think that right there is an
Mhm.
incredible benefit, because
Mhm.
going to an appointment alone without somebody there to listen, another set of ears, questions to ask, can be difficult for people. And,
Yeah, yeah.
go home and not quite be sure what they're supposed to do. So I love that you
Mhm.
provide that. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the companions, the volunteer group that you have. I think this is another really special aspect.
Yeah, so we do use volunteer companions to complete these services. And I've been working with volunteers for about 15 years now. And I think it's just the best route to go. I love working with volunteers and people who are giving their gift of time to better the lives of somebody else. So, and I really think that the volunteers are there for all the right reasons. They're looking to give back to their own community. They want to connect maybe with the older population here in El Paso County. And I've really seen over the last couple of years as I've coordinated, these services, that they really become advocates for those older clients that we have. They have that getting to know each other stage, kind of that honeymoon period where they're, finding out about each other. And then after that, those companions really become the advocates, and they come to me and they said, okay, my client needs this and this and this, and just really kind of bringing those unmet needs to our attention, so that we can either support them with the service that we provide, or providing other community resources and bringing those into their homes to support them with whatever their needs are.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you
Mhm.
describe that additional feature on the app where they can connect to resources if they need them?
Yeah, so we have on the iPad, we have a resources button that they can touch on, and it just pulls up a whole list of community resources that have been vetted by Porchlight Friends. And so these are trusted partners that we've had, that we've met with face to face, and we know that if we send that business or that company into our client's home, they're going to treat them right. They're going to charge them the right price. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to treat them respectfully and just not take advantage of them, because I know it's hard to know who to call,
Yeah.
in different situations, to be not taken advantage of. So on that list we have, plumbers and handyman and house cleaning services, and just all different, a whole list of services that we've found that our clients need in their homes outside of the services that we can provide.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a huge value there, because it's hard when you have to reach out to somebody and you don't know who to call. Who is this
Right.
person? Who's coming in? And, I know as
Right.
people are aging, they can sometimes be more vulnerable, feel more vulnerable for good reason too, because there is a lot of
Yeah.
activity out there that is not in their best interest. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And we can also schedule that visit with maybe that roofer that's coming over, or that handyman. We can schedule that time while the companion's there as well. Just again, to have that extra set of eyes and ears on that, to just make sure they're providing the services that they should.
yeah, yeah, that's great. One of the pieces that I really love about this as well is just that wellness check of somebody coming in, kind of eyes on, making sure everything's good, and just being aware, because if family isn't around and they can't see them on a regular basis, quick little communication sometimes can kind of cover up some of the challenges that could be going on. And you really have to be there in person to see that. Um, you know,
Yeah.
their grocery.
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, we have a client that lives here in Colorado Springs, and her son lives in Texas. And you're just describing that relationship exactly for him, because it was just such an unknown. Mom is still, pretty independent in her condo here in Colorado Springs, but just having those eyes on, and we can be connected with him and say, maybe we need to watch this. And, maybe we've brought some in-home physical therapy into her, because we just noticed she's kind of starting to lose a little of the balance, and maybe needing to hold on to the couch and the chair and that sort of thing to keep her balance. So yeah, just eyes on. And how does the home look? And, how does it smell? And how does the food look in the refrigerator? And just kind of a lot of those what we call social determinants of health, those things that are outside of your physical out of the healthcare system. It's like, your access to food, your access to water, your access to socialization, and your living situation, your financial situation, all of those play a part in your physical health. And so we're able to, as you said, just have eyes on those things and make sure that everybody's prepared to live their best life in their home.
Yeah, yeah. So, can you just describe the difference between what you're providing and what, say, a non-medical, a home care agency would provide, so people can understand when they might need what you offer and when, that non-medical home care might be needed?
Yeah, so our services are primarily non-medical companionship. So we're not going to help with the daily activities of living.
Mhm.
So kind of those medical agencies come in and maybe help with the transfers and the toileting and the bathing, that sort of thing. We don't go there. We're really just focused on helping with light housework and maybe some laundry. We know there's tasks that get a little bit harder, putting those fitted sheets on, is a hard task after a while. And
Mhm.
so we could just help with that. I kind of think that a couple of things that set us apart is one, the technology that we use, being able to have that daily check-in. So we know day to day, or, once a week, if we're seeing a client only once a week and they're not comfortable using that technology on their own, then we're using that technology once a week. But we can see how they're doing. We complete a couple of assessments through that technology on a monthly basis. That social determinant of health. We do a hope scale. How is our client feeling about their future? Are they hopeful? Are they not? If they're not feeling hopeful, is there some other service that we can bring to them? So we just have access to a lot of different community resources that we can refer if it's something outside of what we tackle. So yeah, I just think it's a nice combination of that in-person, face-to-face interactions along with that modern technology.
Yeah. Well, and an additional benefit, I think, would be if your team is in there, there's a companion there, and somebody does really need help with showering, help with dressing, some of those more the ADLs, then that's something you guys are aware of and could help them connect with. And they trust you, so that would be something that hopefully they might receive well from you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we have community relationships with those organizations as well. And we have referred our past clients to home healthcare agencies, PTOT, just kind of whatever we might see in there. So yeah, it's just that there's a lot of really good organizations in town that can work together to support these older adults at home.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the key.
Mhm.
So can you describe, if somebody is interested in volunteering, what that might look like and what the time commitment would be?
Yeah, so our volunteer companions typically do one visit a week.
Mm.
We always welcome people to do more than that, but that's pretty typical of what people do. The visits last 2 hours, so it might be 2.5 hours between the time that you drive and complete your visit note that we have and the actual visit. We have a pretty rigorous onboarding process that we go through. So we do an interview with them, just a face-to-face interview, just to, talk to them, get to know them a little bit. We do a background check, so we're checking their driving record and a pretty rigorous background check just to make sure that they're appropriate to be going into older adults' homes. And then we have a training that they do. They walk themselves through an online training that just really talks about what it looks like to go into somebody's home and kind of the do's and don'ts around that. And then I meet with them face to face again after the training, just to any clarification or questions that they might have.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, just once we kind of get all of that behind us and they're ready to be assigned to a client. I have two pools of companions. I have those companions that can commit to weekly visits. As I said, we really try to have the same companion seeing the same client every week just to build up that trust in that relationship. So I have the pool of people that can make those weekly visits. And then I have another pool of companions that are float companions that can fill in when these weekly companions call off. Because we know it's a volunteer opportunity. So they're going to go out of town on vacation or business, work might get in the way, or they just wake up not feeling well. And so they'll let me know that they need to fill in, and we'll utilize these float companions to fill in for them.
Yeah, good. Well, that's great flexibility then.
Mhm.
I know from talking to somebody who is um, a volunteer with your organization that she loves going out to spend time with the client. I think she might look forward to it just as much as a client. And she was describing staying in touch on the phone app and sending pictures and just kind of some ongoing communication during the week. Just as different things come up, like a friend, they've developed a real friendship. So,
Yeah, I just think it's such a benefit. I think it's a win-win
mhm,
for everybody on both sides. I think, as I said, they really become friends and advocates and really enjoy their time together. And I think just that added benefit of having that Porchlight Health technology, because the people keeping in touch with their clients just use it on their phone. So when they're out in the community, it's such a nice asynchronous communication that they can just send a video over, and it doesn't have to be a phone call where it's all timed and people are meeting at the same time. You can just kind of send a video over, and it can be there for the next time they open the app. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a really nice friendship that builds with these services.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think the last piece I'd love to have you talk about is what the actual process is for a potential client.
Yeah. So the first thing I typically do is go meet with a potential client out in their home and just talk to them, get to know them, talk about the services and what we can offer, and really find out what they're looking for from these services, what they would like to accomplish. Like I said, I have some clients where it's purely companionship and fun, and some clients where there's a task list, so it's just, or a combination of that. So I just really want to find out what they would like to gain from these services. So, and after I do that, I just kind of leave the information with them and let them mull it over. They might have, adult children or other family members that they want to talk to about the services. And once they decide that they're ready to go, then we get them set up with the iPad. That's all part of the bundled service that we provide, and get their friends and family loaded on there, and their companion and me, we're all on their porch there to support them. And then I'll go out and just do that initial visit with them, bring the iPad out, kind of explain how to work it, and kind of how we use that in conjunction with our companions to help them use it, and get them signed up for the services, find out how many visits they want during the week. And then I go back and I just really I become that matchmaker between companions and older adults, to just really find that right match for them, just based on their interests and what they both want to accomplish during those visits, and just do my best to really find somebody that they'll be compatible with. And
Mhm.
then the next step is just to take them out, take the companion out to meet the client. I always go out on that first visit and do that introduction and just make sure that everything goes well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's great that you provide that warm handoff and make sure it all works well. So it's not just this person arriving at their door and they don't know who it is and they're uncomfortable. And what if they don't get along? So I think that probably helps, because I know
Mhm.
people often are a little resistant to having somebody they don't know come into their home. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And these services are just all about relationship building, whether that's between the client and Porchlight Friends, or client and the companion. And
mhm,
yeah, just aiding that, and always being in touch. I'm always in touch with our clients and our companions throughout the services, just to make sure that everything's going well. And sometimes that match is not the perfect match the first time, and I never want to force that. Let's just move on and just try to find somebody else that might be as a better match for them.
yeah, yeah. Well, and before we
Mm.
finish, I would like to have you talk a little bit about your background, because I think you bring so much to the table that really prepared you to do this. Could you speak
Mhm.
to that?
Yeah, yeah. So I think kind of my first experience working with our older population, my husband and I had a home healthcare agency that we started and ran and sold, and just having that experience about going into people's homes, and like as I've said before, the kind of the do's and don'ts and how to make that successful was just great experience. And then I was a volunteer coordination coordinator for CASA of the Pikes Peak region, which they have like 400 to 500 volunteers that advocate for abused and neglected kids. So we just coordinated those services, and I've worked in the hospice arena, coordinating volunteer companions to go out and meet with our hospice patients, which I just love that industry. It's just such a beautiful industry. And then most recently, I worked for a local nonprofit that I was hired to start services very similar to this. So a couple years ago, started a private pay companionship service for them, and just kind of got to the point where it's time to do this on my own. I kind of feel like I've been training for this for the last 15 years, and have some ideas, that directions that I want to go, like with the technology and the companionship, and so just decided to start Porchlight Friends and see how we do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm excited that you started Porchlight Friends, and I've seen the benefit to the technology and the resistance. And so I love that your companions, that you've really married the two, because I think that's really the way to deliver the technology that's going to help people with the personal touch. So, and
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
last things you'd like to say to anybody who's thinking about this?
Yeah, just we have a website. It's porchlightfriends.org. You can go out there. It just tells a lot more about the services. There's a connect button there. So if you want information either from the volunteer side or the client side, that email will come right to me, and I'll contact you. And yeah, the phone number's on the website. Just go check it out, and let me know if you have any questions.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will include that in some notes so people will
All right.
easily be able to connect with you. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for taking time to come and tell us all about Porchlight Friends, and even more for bringing this to the Colorado Springs community. I think it's an incredible service, or I guess all of El Paso County. And
Yeah.
I'm excited that you're here and doing this. Thank
Yeah, well,
you.
thanks. I really appreciate your time and allowing me to talk about Porchlight Friends, and I'm excited to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.